even though you had a bunch of excuses and you were this close to talking yourself out of it, hitting snooze, but you did it anyway. What is the end result of that, right? Feeling grateful that you push yourself, pride, like, damn, I did it. Self-belief that you start to cultivate, discipline, willpower. You know that when you're tired or when you don't want to do something, you can push through that discomfort and you can achieve what you said you were going to achieve. So long term, you build belief in your word. You believe in yourself. And people feel that when you walk into a room or you hit the stage or you're on a Zoom call or a podcast, people know if you're full of shit or not. Like they feel
Yeah.
your energy.
Hey, welcome to Networking Star. I am your host, Jeffrey Boyle, and here on Networking Star, I interview some of the most inspirational people, entrepreneurs, thought leaders, and people just make us want to have, be, and do more. Today, I am joined by Sean Michael Crane. He's a peak performance coach, a motivational speaker, a best-selling author, and he did all of this after spending over 2,000 days in prison. Sean, thanks for joining me.
Thank you. I appreciate you having me here, man.
That's what's really great is as I went through your content on Instagram before we sent out the invitation to you, you talk about just the statistics and how it was really improbable for you to do what you've done after spending so much time in prison. Talk to me a little bit about the mindset that you had to change to be able to come out of there and really have this unstoppable mindset in life afterwards.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, I mean, so first of all, I come from a broken home, parents who are battling addiction. Dad went to prison at 14. Then I ended up going to prison. So, the odds of me being here are very, very slim, right? And so I know that, man. I know that. I know what I was up against. And for the longest time, I just wasn't applying myself in life. I wasn't trying. I was really wounded from all the stuff I went through early on in childhood.
Yeah, for
So when I
sure.
did get incarcerated, it rattled my cage. Like man, like that experience facing life at 23, it rocked me to the core.
Yeah.
And so I interpreted it like I died and got a second chance at life. So I never thought about, oh, I need a strong mindset. I never thought about like the stuff that we teach now to people to help them understand how to change. It was pure survival and it was life or death. And I wanted to get out and have a second chance so bad, man. And so for me, it was just like a desire beyond anything I can describe with words to come home and show people who I am and what I can do with life.
Well, you also, you talk about a broken home. I also want to make sure I've got this right, but you also saw a tragedy with your mother as well. I mean, there's a lot of people with excuses, but it's tough to see your father go to jail. It's hard for you to go to jail. It's tough to see what happened with your mother, if I remember that correctly.
Yeah, I mean, by the age of I was 10 or 11, I saw her overdose several times. I saw my parents fight, the cops come to our house. It was really scary growing up, and I was traumatized. I didn't know how to cope with it. So when I realized if I smoked or drank or took some pills and I could kind of forget about my life, that was my escape. And so I started doing that habitually, and then all of a sudden I found myself addicted to drugs and alcohol. And so that's how a lot of people end up just wasting their life away, or like I'm lucky to be here. I could have died with all the amount of pills and alcohol I was putting in my system. So prison gave me a reprieve from my old life. It gave me a chance to put the world on pause and get sober and get clarity and really figure out who am I as a person. I lost that kid for so many years. And so it gave me so much clarity. And when I started to have time to think on my own and be by myself, I connected on such a deeper level. And I came to the conclusion that I was going to fight, that I wasn't going to give up, that no matter how much time I was in prison, for me, the ultimate form of success at that point was just being my true self. Like I didn't need money, cars, social media, none of that stuff. I didn't need any of it. My biggest success to that point in life was really just surrendering to all the stuff I'd gone through, accepting it, and just being willing to be my true self. And that moment changed my life forever. Because I think a lot of us go through periods of time where we know we're holding back, we're doing things we don't want to do, we're in a job or a relationship that doesn't really serve us, but we feel stuck. And that was me for over a decade. So getting to the point where I said, I'm no longer going to use drugs and alcohol. I'm no longer going to hang out with those old friends or entertain those toxic relationships. I'm going to be the person in my heart I know I'm here to be, like the person that I'm just being called to become. That moment changed my whole life.
Yeah, I think you're basically talking about you had to do a hard reboot of your life when you did that. There's a lot of people that have far less difficult situation than what you did, but yet get caught in a bit of a victim triangle where they're constantly blaming somebody else or something for for their failures. I grew up in a wonderful home, and I know there's so many other people that also grew up in a home that it was full of love, yet they fall victim to life and fall victim to circumstances. What do you tell people? Because I know you do a lot of speaking on your Instagram channel. You got some great portions of your speech. What do you tell people that they have to do to become a peak performer?
I mean, the main thing is you got to get out of your own way. It's not always about what we need to add on initially. It's what do we need to eliminate? Is it people? Is it places? Is it, what's sabotaging you? What's holding you back? So a lot of times people are doing things that they know they shouldn't do that'll hold them back, right? So that's a really important thing to consider. Like, what can I just eliminate that's going to make room for these new habits and these new things I want to incorporate into my life? Then the most important thing to becoming a peak performer, number one, you have to know where you're going, your vision, who you perceive yourself to be, or who you're growing into. Like that clarity is essential because that's your roadmap. That's going to guide everything you do moving forward. But then things like waking up early, working out, discipline with nutrition, getting in environments that are going to push you to new levels and challenge you. We got to get uncomfortable, right? Because that stimulates growth. But the most impactful things that I do personally and what I teach the younger guys or the guys my age that want to grow and be peak performers is like, sorry about that. It's what is that vision of your most elite self? Like, how does that guy live? What does he eat? Who does he surround himself with? What books does he read? What is he doing every day to grow? And so, like, we have to have that vision and we have to be willing to lean into the growth required to become that person. And so that's key. But out of all habits I think we can form in life, the most impactful by far is exercise. By
Yeah,
far.
I'd agree with that. One of the things, so I went to law school to become an entrepreneur. I think I went to law school to make sure that I protected myself from me as much as anything. But I really saw after I turned 35 how, I started not feeling very good. You can eat crap and not exercise, but when you start getting closer to 40, man, it starts to take its toll. And as an entrepreneur, you have to have the power that your body can provide you. So I went and became a personal trainer so I could make sure that I understood how to take care of myself. And I agree with what you said is our power center comes from our body. If you're not taking care of your body, your mind's going to go bad. You're not going to have the energy to perform. And so for a guy that, you were talking about the pills you were popping, the alcohol and the abuse that you did to your body, have you noticed just as you've completely done a 180 on that? Uh, you're older now than when you went to jail. Why do you believe so much in exercise?
Yeah, well, so here's the thing, peak performance, right? It's your mentality, it's your attitude, it's your daily actions that produce results. So a lot of people are inconsistent or a lot of people defeat themselves by talking negatively to themselves about life and they don't believe in themselves, right? So a lot of people also don't have control over their emotions. They get irritable, they get angry. Like they're not in control of how they feel. They're not in control of all their behaviors and actions. So peak performance is all about having complete control over how you feel, being able to elevate yourself to really function and thrive and bring that good energy to bring that consistent action that's going to produce results. Like that's what it is. So exercise teaches you all of that because if you're having a day where you're stressed out, what's the best remedy? Well, alcohol might fix the problem pretty quickly, but guess what? The next day you might be hungover. And that's not a good long term solution because you might gain weight, you might do something stupid, you might just miss out on life, right? So, exercise remedies all that stuff. It remedies stress, it builds confidence over time, it forges discipline in your life, and all those attributes carry over into what? Parenting, entrepreneurship, everything. So, if you get up early every morning, and this is the best way to do it, this is what I teach my guys. If you get up before the sun comes up, and you get up early and you make you your number one priority, You get up while you're still tired. You don't want to get out of bed. It's comfy, it's cozy, but you're telling yourself, my purpose is greater than this extra hour of sleep. I'm on a mission. I have something to accomplish. So you peel yourself out of bed. Then you go and you push yourself to do something very difficult and challenging, and you accomplish it even though you didn't want to, even though you had a bunch of excuses and you were this close to talking yourself out of it, hitting snooze, but you did it anyway. What is the end result of that, right? Feeling grateful that you push yourself, pride, like, damn, I did it. Self belief that you start to cultivate, discipline, willpower. You know that when you're tired or when you don't want to do something, you can push through that discomfort and you can achieve what you said you were going to achieve. So long term, you build belief in your word, you believe in yourself. And people feel that when you walk into a room or you hit the stage or you're on a Zoom call or a podcast, people know if you're full of shit or not. Like they feel your energy. And so what I teach my guys is like, it's a transfer of energy. You're transferring certainty, confidence, and belief to your audience, to your family, to everyone you interact with. I don't care if you're selling something. I don't care if you're just talking to a loved one or you're doing a podcast interview. You want people to believe in you. And that is based on how you showed up for X number of days leading up to that moment, right? And this is usually years in the making. Like I had 5 years working in the dark on myself before I even got the opportunity to show people who I was, and a lot of people, they don't do that, man. They cut corners, they make excuses, then they wonder why they're not getting the results. It's like, well, let me look at the last 1,000 days of your life and how you lived, and I'll tell you why you missed most of those days. You know what I mean? So that's it right there.
One of the other things I think that people don't talk about too much as it relates to exercise, fitness, nutrition, the physical is one of the easiest. People can debate me and go ahead and put in the comments that, anybody listening to this, tell me I'm full of crap or not. But the physical is the easiest thing to be able to see immediate results. There's no such thing as immediate results on anything, but you can start to see very fast results simply by replacing soda with water. You can start to see immediate results by working out 5 or 6 days a week. And over, a 2 or 3 month period of time, you will see results if you're consistent. There's almost nothing in life, a new career, school, almost nothing can you start to see that so-called immediate results. And it gives you the belief that you can accomplish so much more.
Yeah, absolutely. It's a catalyst for growth in all areas of life because when and here's the thing, you got to earn it, man. Like everyone, especially nowadays, wants things instantaneously. They want the easy, route in life. And it's like when you earn something, like you build up your physique, you build up intrinsic value. Like you know what you did and the discipline that you had, the things you sacrificed to achieve that physique. And a lot of times it's so much deeper than the aesthetics. It's your mindset, your belief about what's possible in life, and you grow internally more so than the external results. And like that carries over into everything. Who you accept in your life as your partner, your spouse, like who you feel like you deserve, right? What job or career or financial position you're willing to settle for. Like you raise your standards. And so I think that is the most empowering habit we can form because it has such widespread benefits physically, mentally, spiritually, emotionally, everything that we do.
So if you could go back and talk to your younger self as you started to see this downward spiral towards prison, what are the top things that you would tell yourself to really try to shake yourself out of that pattern?
Yeah. I mean, people ask me that, and it's like, honestly, nothing. I feel like I had to go through that, and I'm grateful I did because it taught me more about life than I would have ever learned. Even if I lived to be 100 years old and I didn't go through that experience, I wouldn't have become even a shadow of the man I am today. That experience taught me so much. It was such a unique experience, and now it allows me to share invaluable information and lessons with other people to change or save their life. But if there was one thing, two things. You got to get sober, Sean. You can do it, and you have to. And I knew it, but I was dragging my feet. I tried a couple times, but I didn't really commit. Number two, you got to leave your family. Like you got to leave those toxic relationships because I was like a parent to my dad. I was like a parent to my mom. I rescued them from being homeless. I would pick my dad up from jail. It was just horrible. And it was a constant battle between like us trying to live a good life, but then just their dysfunctional ways and our codependent relationships. So I felt stuck and trapped. And ironically, going to prison was the first time in my life I felt like I could finally be my own person without worrying about how other people would judge me or trying to fit in based on the way I was brought up. And it was crazy because now I'm in this very dangerous, extreme environment, but I felt more liberated there than I did for the first 23 years of my life.
Wow. I don't know if you ever listened to Mike Tyson. Mike Tyson talks about his time in prison, and one of the interviews that he was doing, he talks about the power of hitting rock bottom, and that sometimes you have to hit rock bottom because of just the perspective that it gives you. And so many of your public speaking, so much of what you write, it's obvious that you're really able to relate to a lot of people and really take away a lot of excuses from people because of your, as what you probably had to have been the rock bottom that enabled you to look up and start to progress forward.
Yeah, I mean, what are people going to say, right? Like, oh, they're tired. I don't want to do it. I'm still mad about my past. I'm like, bro, like, if I could do it, you can. So, number one,
Yeah.
I want to empower people by helping them to see that their excuses are all lies, that they don't have to believe any longer. And number two, I want to show them, hey, when you just commit to this new way of life and you trust and believe in that calling in your heart, things will get better. They progressively improve. It's not going to be instantaneous. We're going to be tested. And there's a delayed reaction between our choices and actions today and the results we get in the future. But do you want to fast forward 5 years from now and be in a much better place, being able to look back and say, I'm so grateful I took action and made those decisions? Or do you want to be the same and maybe a little worse off because you weren't willing to put in the work and delay your gratification or delay those results? And so, like, I just show them, hey, I've been working hard. Look at my life now compared to where I was. This is possible for you too, but you have to commit and start the process now.
Yeah. And so many of the guys that I talk to, they're entrepreneurs, peak performers, all of them have somebody that have helped them, I guess, see the light or shake them up. I've got a number of people like that that have just done a magnificent job at different times and different challenges and different obstacles I've run into. What have you learned from your mentors as you left prison and on your way to selling books and speaking regularly?
I mean, so much, it's like I had a foundation of discipline, the right habits, and just sheer desire to succeed in life. I'll do whatever it takes, pretty much whatever it takes. I'll never leave my family. I'll never do anything illegal, but I'm going to work hard every day and overcome anything that's in my way. But having the right mentors and people who have that success, they fast track you to those results because they can teach you directly what they've done. So you get the information and then they show you how to do it. So you just collapse time and cut that learning curve in half. So everything that I've done, from speaking on stages, learning about social media, learning how to build a coaching program and actually make that my career, like everything, I've sought out mentorship because I want to know how to do it the best way. I want to learn from the best, and that's going to help me to be more efficient and effective long term. So it's man, it's essential. Like everything I've done, writing the book, speaking on stage, the coaching program, building my own brand and my company, and now delegating to my team members. I've learned it all from other people, and I've put my own twist. It's my story. It's my uniqueness, my authenticity. But these things that we learn, like success leaves clues. So these strategies that we implement, they've been done before. They're proven to work, and it's a no brainer. Like it's the quickest way to get results. But here's the thing: you have to have your foundation of discipline, your mindset, and your habits. If you don't have that, you could have the most valuable person with the most knowledge and the greatest results in the world, and you won't be able to apply it because you can't even consistently get yourself to do what you said you're going to do. And that's why like nutrition's so important, or working out, or these daily routines. People think, I'll eat whatever I want. It's not that big of a deal. It's not even about being fat and overweight. It's like you can't even control yourself with your eating habits. How are you going to thrive in life and be a peak performer if you don't even have the discipline to say, I'm not going to eat this and actually not eat it? And it's like people don't realize that weakens your resolve, your willpower, and your discipline. And Napoleon Hill talks about this in Outwitting the Devil.
Yeah.
He talked about drifters, how they start early. Maybe they smoke cigarettes and people think, it's not that big of a deal. But you don't have the ability to say no. Like you don't have that willpower muscle and you're weakening it. So what I look for and what I teach is how can we sharpen ourselves and strengthen that willpower muscle every day in as many things as possible. And that's when you develop an unstoppable mindset.
So let's talk about the unstoppable mindset. You know, a lot of times, so many people that talk about the unstoppable mindset, they're really not living it. Explain to me just some of the really process. You've talked about the exercise. You've talked about really getting, having the right mentors. What else is involved for you to be able to help your guys become unstoppable?
Yeah, so they got to be uncomfortable. They got to do things that challenge them to a point where they're so damn proud of themselves and they see what they're really capable of. So it's really helping them to see the value that they possess and the strength and the ability. So we test them. I get them way out of their comfort zone. When they come to a mastermind that I'm hosting, I'll have them run a half marathon. They don't even know they're going to do it. I had a mastermind in Santa Barbara in April, where I'm from, and these guys showed up. They thought they were going to learn. We were going to work out together and have some breakthroughs. The first morning, as the sun was coming up, we're running a half marathon down the beach. And some of these guys had never run 1 to 2 miles before, and they all finished. And so in that moment, they saw that they're so much more capable than they ever realized. So it's about getting these guys in proximity and showing them, hey, that you can push far beyond your threshold, far beyond what you thought was possible for them. And they realize the only limitations in life are the ones they've imposed upon themselves, the ones that they've believed about themselves. So, the coaching that I do with them and the course that they go through and the Zoom calls, it all sets them up to have those breakthroughs, right? So first of all, man, we just have to start off, like I said earlier, what's the vision? Who do you want to become? And then we start to help them make a plan to become that person. And then we start to get them uncomfortable with early wake ups, discipline with nutrition, working out daily. And we're cultivating warriors is what we're doing, right? We don't live back 2,000 years ago where we have to pick up a sword and go to battle, but we're battling here. And we're battling in different ways to become the man our family needs, to become the man that our heart is calling us to become. And in order to become that man, you have to fight internally and you have to be able to win that battle daily. And I think the biggest mistake I see a lot of people make is they don't have the intention to win the battle daily. They'll show up once in a while and go above and beyond. They'll do good most of the week, but they'll take the weekend off. They'll take the birthday off. They'll take Christmas off. And I'm not saying you work on those days, but you still have to do things that keep your momentum alive and keep you evolving and growing into the man you want to be. And so too many people just miss days throughout the year, and they miss too many days and they don't realize it, but they wonder why they still don't believe in themselves. And it's because their subconscious mind knows that they missed 150 days out of 365 and they're not ready. They're not really giving their all. So I just teach them how to be very intentional with how they live and how their thoughts and their actions and everything need to align to that person they want to be to create momentum and really life-changing progress.
Well, you mentor a lot of younger guys, so you've got some guys that are up and coming, hungry. You've got guys from a lot of different backgrounds. What do you tell the young entrepreneur that's wanting to make it big? I mean, what are some of the excuses or obstacles that they're running into?
Yeah, I mean, so I have guys that are upwards of 50 too. I have older cats that work with me. But the younger guys are cool because they are they're primed and ready for so much growth. And like before the age of 25, we can really change a lot of fundamental aspects of our brain, the way the brains are function and operate. After 25, a lot of our beliefs and our ways are cemented into place. So I tell them, man, like don't try to rush the process. You're going to learn, you're going to grow, you're going to get much farther ahead than a lot of people your age. But if you try to rush the process or you just chase money and success, you're going to probably forget why you started in the first place. And the key is if you really can immerse yourself in the journey and fall in love with the process and of who you're becoming, it's so much more gratifying than if you're just trying to like rush ahead and finish the race. So it's different for the younger guys. Someone's trying to slow them down and making sure they're really incorporating the lessons, applying these teaching points so they become habitual in their lives, and then helping them to achieve success.
Well, it is definitely a process, and I'm always attracted to the different accounts and the different people that talk about the unstoppable mindset. And so many people, I think, are starting to finally recognize how important the fitness and self care is as a part of that. And I think that's a big part of what you do. It's a big part of what I do each day. I think I'd go crazy if I if I didn't have my time. You know, you look at some of the most successful people in the world, and an extreme example of it is The Rock, Dwayne Johnson. He doesn't he packs a gym with him wherever he goes, and you can't work out with him. You know, you got to be pretty special to be able to do that, because it's his time. And I've got he's actually my brother-in-law, who is his body double for a lot of the movies now, and he just says no one can intrude on that time. It's his. And I think as entrepreneurs, a lot of times we don't have that sacred self-care time to be able to take care of ourselves. I'll let you have the last word to be able to wrap this up. Give me a game plan on what I've got to do and what to get unstuck. We've talked a little bit about the new entrepreneur. We talk about some of the other guys that are on their way to it. What do you have that guy do that is stuck, that has depression, that is on a downward spiral? How do you get that guy back in line?
Yeah, so I mean, here's the thing. Not everyone is going to do the work required to change. Okay. So what I help guys do is to understand what's at stake if they don't change and use that emotion as a catalyst to take action. But number one, you need to be in an environment where you consistently see people taking action. You see them getting the results you want. You see guys just like you making changes. That's why my group and my tribe and my community is so effective for the men I coach, because they see other men that they can relate to that are making changes. And if you see John, Steve, and Doug a little further ahead than you on the journey, but you can relate to them, you start to think, man, I can do this. Maybe I can do it. If they're doing it, maybe I can do it too. So we need that hope. We need that example in our lives. And then we need accountability. We need a plan to follow that ensures we're going to get the results, and then people that will hold us accountable. Those things right there are crucial. So it's that environment, it's the right support system, and it's having a plan that makes sense that's going to lead to our results. That's the quickest, most effective way to make a change.
Well, it's good stuff. Good way to end it. Tell everybody where they can find you.
Yeah, so I'm on Instagram at Sean M. Crane, Facebook at Sean Michael Crane. You can reach out to me there. Again, I have a website, SeanMichaelCrane.com. Connect with me. Let me know if you have questions, takeaways from the episode. I'd be happy to answer them.
Well, thank you for joining me on Networking Star.
Absolutely. Thank you for having me.